Super duper doo, how are you? Do you look good naked? What do you look like without your clothes on? Is it important to you? When you look in the mirror and you haven't got any clothes on, do you get excited? Are you embarrassed? Have you stopped looking? Do you love what you see or you don't like what you see? And I know it's a really personal question, but I'm asking for a reason because a lot of people share with me that that is one of their goals. I would like to look good naked. And I have an even more interesting question probably. If you looked good naked, without any clothes on, lights on, full view mirror, and you could do a full 360 degree and say, yes, I like every part of my body, and you could do that without doing any form of physical activity. So I don't like to call it exercise because most people hate to exercise, but if you could look good without doing any exercise, would you still exercise? Or do you exercise so that you can look good? Or do you exercise because you don't want to look bad? That's another interesting thing that people have shared with me. Rowie, I don't exercise because I want to lose weight. I exercise because I'm scared of putting on weight. So here's another really interesting question. Does that make for an enjoyable life? I'm scared of, so I have to go out and do stuff so that I don't get. And I've often seen that, and I joke a lot because I used to live on the Gold Coast in Australia. And the sun would be shining and the water is aqua blue and the sand is white and it's a magnificent day, and I'm smiling at people and saying, super duper doo, how are you? And people are going, leave me alone, I'm burning calories, and they're looking at their special little watch. Or they're grumpy because they're out exercising to burn calories, lose weight, try to fit into their clothes, or scared of not being able to fit into their clothes. Well, that's the thing that I don't want for anybody. As an exercise professional, as an educator, and certainly as a human being that loves other human beings, I would really like everybody to be fit, to be strong, and to be healthy. I'll rephrase that. Is it possible that we become nicer human beings when we're fit, when we're strong, and when we're healthy? And the outside of our body, the covering, so there's skin, and yes, there's muscle. In between the skin and the muscle, there's this thing called fat, and that particular form of fat, subcutaneous layer of fat, designed to keep us warm. The human body's designed to stay warm in the winter. We're designed to have fat on our body because it keeps us alive. But we've got to the point now where people have become reasonably obsessive about, I want to see my abs, I want to see my tight butt cheeks, I want to see that I've got 3 lines in my shoulders, I want to look good naked. So is it important to look good naked? And could that be the ultimate personal question? Because when you look in your mirror, do you love what you see? And if the answer is yes, does it matter what anybody else says? Does it matter if you don't fit in with what society says is normal? And I don't know what that is anymore because I'm a very old lady, and I've lived through being stick thin is the ultimate in looking good. So I lived in the era of you never be too thin or too rich. So the thinner you are, the better. I've been through the be curvaceous, and it seems we've come back to that now. We're having good athletic backside and nice athletic legs has become a very fashionable thing. But there has been a time in history where looking like that would have been considered not just overweight, but for some people, fat. So does it matter what other people think? And does it matter what the magazines are showing us at the moment as what's the fashion for the way a human body should look? Is it possible that you have to be happy with what you see in your mirror? And if you're not, so that then affects your mental health because you look and you go, I don't like that. There's a couple of, again, personal questions. Do you not like that because you're comparing yourself to other people? Or are you comparing yourself to what you used to look like? And again, I'll share with you as an old lady, it can be complicated because I've grown up exercising all of my life. I've been the same weight, same size, same energy level all of my life. But I'm now older, so I look different. My body looks different naked in the mirror. You don't need that vision, I know. But if I was expecting to look at my age as I did at 20, is that realistic? And I don't even like that word, because is it possible for 60-year-olds to look 20? Maybe with lots of plastic surgery, I don't know. But I'm asking very, very personally, are you comparing yourself to an unrealistic image? Obviously, the ones in the magazines and on social media are not realistic, and I share this all the time. When somebody's taken 500 photos to get one great shot, is that realistic? If somebody's on a magazine cover and it's been photoshopped and airbrushed, is that realistic? And why would you compare yourself to that? If you compare yourself at 60 to what you were at 20, why would you do that? And I heard a great quote just recently. There's a whole heap of anti-aging products on the market, obviously, but the key here was that those products should make you look younger, not young. I think that's very wise. And of course, it came from a plastic surgeon who said beautifully, plastic surgery is not designed to make you look young again. It's designed to make you look younger if you feel old. So you might say that, well, I look old, but there's other people who love that. And it's a very personal thing. So I'll ask a different series of questions. Are you the fittest and strongest you've ever been? Is it possible that if you're really fit and really strong, by definition, that you can get really puffed at 100% effort, recover quickly, and you've got a low resting heart rate? That definition of fit. And strong being that you haven't lost any ability to do stuff as you've gotten older. And if you were at peak strength, so let's say you could, and we'll go by the definition of the exercise physiologist, which is your 1 RM lift. So if you can lift, let's say, or let's pick something that's probably realistic for most people. Let's say you could lift 50 kilos, you could deadlift 50 kilos, or you could squat 50 kilos or lunge 50 kilos. If you can maintain that from 20, 30, 40, 50, is it possible that you have stayed strong, you haven't let your muscles waste away? Because if your muscles have wasted away, you wouldn't be able to lift as heavy. If you are stronger than you were at 20, you're and the human body is capable of doing that, by the way, and I'm a living, breathing example of that, because I'm certainly capable of lifting heavier things as an old lady than I was as a young lady. Because when I was a young lady, I didn't want to do heavy weights because some stupid person said if you lift heavy weights, you get big muscles. Well, obviously women can't do that. We don't have high levels of testosterone. We're just very privileged if we can maintain our muscle that we get between 20 and 25 is where we get our peak muscle. And then if we maintain it, that will then maintain our posture, our peak strength, our peak metabolism, our peak ability to burn calories, and our ability to keep doing stuff. And as I always share, one of my measuring now is not ripped abdominals and tight butt cheeks. Now, I'm not try and kid you, I don't care what I look like. Of course I care what I look like, and I'm very aware of looking after myself physically so that when I look in my mirror, I like what I see. But I'm also not trying to look 20. I don't dress 20 anymore. I'm not trying to look 20 because I'm not. And I have a bit of a joke because people say, Rowie, how old are you? And I always say 120, I just look good for my age. I'm sharing that because does age matter? Probably shouldn't, because there's some people who are 30 who look much older than that, of course, and there's some people who are 60 who look much younger. And I don't know why we even ask that question. How about ask the personal question of yourself? How young do I feel? How young do I look? And do I look like a person who's fit and strong? And the reason I ask that very personal question is I want our kids to have inspiration and motivation from adults. So I get very excited when kids share with me, Miss, you're a very old lady, but you're very strong, or Miss, you're a very old lady, but you're very fit. A couple of interesting experiences I've had where I've been in front of a large number of school students. At one school there was 3,800 boys in one room, and I went in there as a very old lady and very, very capable still of pumping out 30 full push-ups or press-ups, depending which country you're in. And I got a standing ovation from 13 and 14-year-old boys because that old lady can still do 30 push-ups easy, like easy. And I'm saying easy for a reason because, yes, I could have kept going. Now, that's not because I do push-ups to get strong. That's because I lift incredibly heavy weight, which then means I can go and do other stuff. And I'm sharing that with you because when you're fit and when you're strong, is it possible that that shows on the outside? It shows in the mirror. A lot of people exercise to look good. What if you get fit and get strong, so you get puffed and lift heavy so that you can be fit and strong, to be healthy mentally and physically? And could the side effect of that be that you'll look good too? You'll maintain your muscles, you'll maintain your bones, you'll maintain your fast metabolism, so very unlikely that you'll be overweight. And if you are, when you're healthy and you've got low resting heart rate, healthy blood pressure, blood sugar levels, you've got a healthy cholesterol levels, you technically are considered a healthy person. So your risk of dying of any of the horrible diseases is very low. So you'll feel good, even if you don't love what you see in the mirror. And I'll rephrase that. Here's a great suggestion. Don't look in the mirror until you've gotten puffed or lifted heavy or both. So if you don't like what you see in the mirror, because you wake up every morning, I'm having a fat day because I don't like what I see in the mirror. Before you ever look in the mirror, go and do an intense burst of exercise. And I don't like to use the word exercise, so I'll go intense burst of high intense activity. So do something to get puffed or do something to lift heavy and then look in the mirror. Because our brain chemistry changes immediately after we've gotten puffed. Endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, brain-derived neurotropic factor. We have neuroplasticity, change in the brain, neurogenesis, new brain cells, and we just look at things differently when we have a positive attitude. So there's just a quick tip. If you don't like what you see in the mirror, get puffed before you look. There's a great idea. But is it possible that we're unrealistic about what we see in the mirror? So we're trying to look like somebody else. I want her arms, his legs, her butt, stuff that we don't have their parents, so we can't have it. But we might be comparing ourselves to what we looked like when we were younger. Now, I love looking at photos of when I was 20 because I say this. I never dreamed at 20 that I would be as fit, strong and healthy as an old lady as I am now. I'm just so thankful and grateful that I have been able to maintain my health, my fitness, my strength, particularly my strength, because that's the fast metabolism and the ability to do everything. So what do you want? If you want to look in the mirror and see a beautiful body, is it possible that that is a side effect of having a fit, strong body rather than going out to do stuff to have a beautiful body and being miserable about it? And I'm sure you've met people like I have who have beautiful bodies, but they're just bloody miserable. And they're constantly counting calories and counting grams of stuff and percentages of macronutrients and micronutrients. They're counting times between meals. They're counting steps. They're counting how much water they've drunk. They're arguing about whether you should be vegan, vegetarian or carnivore. And they just live their life totally controlled by food and exercise to try and have a body that looks good in the mirror. How about this? What if you get fit and what if you get strong? You might actually look good in the mirror. And wouldn't that be awesome? Super duper doo, how are you? Thank you for coming to Romax and may you look good. Woohoo!